All right, let's get right into it. Professional ethics. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. It's just another topic to get through for the exam, right? But I want you to completely reframe that. This isn't just about scoring marks on your strategic business reporting paper. This is about building the very foundation of your entire career. It's the core skill that makes you a trusted professional, and we are absolutely going to master it together.
So, let me put you in the hot seat for a second. Imagine this. Your boss comes to you, it's the end of the year, targets are just out of reach, and they suggest a slightly creative way to book some revenue a little early. The pressure is mounting. What do? See, this isn't some abstract textbook problem. This is real life. And that pressure usually stems from one key idea.
And that idea is management stewardship. On paper, it sounds great, right? It's simply management's duty to act in the best interests of the owners, the shareholders. But here's the catch. This creates this intense, immense pressure to always report good news. Think rising profits, amazing cash flow, all targets met. And that pressure cooker? That's exactly where ethical problems are born. It's the classic battle between reporting the truth and reporting what everyone wants the truth to be.
So, how are we going to tackle this? Don't worry, we've got a solid plan. First, we're going to really dig into the ethical challenge that you as an accountant are going to face. Then, we'll arm you with your 5 core principles, your ethical toolkit. After that, we'll get good at spotting the 5 major threats that try to undermine those principles. And finally, the best part? We'll go through a step-by-step framework you can use to solve any ethical dilemma.
Okay, let's kick off with Section 1, the Accountant's Ethical Challenge. You see, the very first step in handling pressure isn't to fight it, it's to understand it, to know where it's coming from and why it's there in the first place. Trust me, just recognizing the landscape is half the battle won. So, now that we've defined the challenge, let's talk about your defense. This brings us right to Section 2, your 5 core principles. I want you to think of these as your professional suit of armor. They are the absolute non-negotiable bedrock of your career, laid out in the IESBA Code of Ethics. They aren't just rules to memorize, they literally define who you are as a professional accountant.
And here they are. First, integrity. That's just being straight up honest. Then objectivity, meaning you can't let bias or your own interests cloud your judgment. Professional competence and due care, that's a fancy way of saying you have to know your stuff, stay updated, and not be sloppy. Confidentiality is pretty obvious, you keep private information private. And last, professional behavior. You follow the law and you act in a way that doesn't bring shame to the profession. These 5 are your North Star.
But look, just knowing the principles isn't quite enough. You have to be able to see when they're under attack. And that's where we get to Section 3, spotting the 5 threats. Think of these as the common traps, the landmines that can compromise your principles and lead even good accountants down the wrong path.
These are the bad guys you need to be on the lookout for. A self-interest threat, that could be a huge bonus tied to hitting a profit number. Self-review, that's when you're asked to check your own homework, essentially. Advocacy is when you're pushing a client's case so hard you stop being objective. Familiarity comes from being a little too close, too friendly with a client or your boss. And intimidation, well, that's being pressured by someone powerful to do something you know is wrong. Being able to spot these is an absolutely critical skill.
Now here is where it all clicks. These threats aren't random. They launch direct attacks on your principles. Take a look. A self-interested threat, like that big bonus we talked about, that is a direct assault on your objectivity. How can you be unbiased when a pile of cash is on the line? And an intimidation threat, like a manager telling you to just make the numbers work, that's a full frontal attack on your integrity, your duty to be honest. See the connection? It's a constant tug-of-war.
So you understand the pressure, you know your principles, you can even spot the threats. Now what? What do you actually do? Well, this brings us to the most powerful part of our session, Section 4, a framework for action. This is your repeatable, reliable guide for thinking your way through any ethical mess. And here's the crucial point. When you're in that high-pressure moment, you can't just rely on gut feelings. You need a structured plan. You need a process. This 5-step toolkit isn't just going to help you nail those ethics questions in the SBR exam. It's something you're going to use for your entire career. And here it is. It's a clear 5-step journey. First, get the facts straight. Second, name the ethical issues. Third, figure out who's affected. Fourth, think through the consequences. And fifth, decide on the right course of action. It's simple, it's clear, and it's so effective. Now, let's break down each one. Step 1, identify the relevant facts. And I mean just the facts.
In an exam scenario, you're like a detective. You read through the case and you pull out only the objective, cold, hard information. What are the specific numbers? Who said what, exactly? You have to cut through all the opinions, all the drama, all the noise, and just get to what is actually known for sure.
Step 2. Identify the ethical issues. Now you take those facts and you connect them back to what we just talked about. You ask yourself, okay, which of my 5 principles is under attack here? Is it my integrity, my objectivity? And then, which of the 5 threats is causing the problem? Is this intimidation? Is it a self-interest threat? You have to explicitly name them.
Step 3. Identify the stakeholders. Now this is where you need to think bigger. A lot of people miss this. You have to ask, who's actually going to be impacted by this decision? It's almost never just the managers and the shareholders. What about the employees who could lose their jobs? The banks who lend the company money? The customers? Even the general public who rely on fair markets? List them out. Step 4. Analyze the consequences. Okay, time to play out the scenarios. You have to think a few moves ahead. What happens if you give in to the pressure? What's the short-term gain, and what's the potential long-term catastrophe for your reputation and the company's? And what happens if you stand your ground? You've got to weigh the outcomes of every possible path.
And finally, we land at step 5, propose specific actions. This is where you earn the big marks. Don't just say, I do the right thing. That's not enough. Be specific. Say something like, first, I would raise my concerns directly with my manager. If that doesn't work, I would follow the company's internal ethics policy. If there's no resolution, I might need to seek advice from the ACCA's ethics helpline. That shows real professional judgment.
So, after all of this, what's the one thing you should remember? It's this. The principles, the threats, this 5-step framework, it is so much more than just a technique to pass an exam. These are the tools you're going to use day in and day out to build a career that's defined by trust and integrity. And in the long run, that is what makes you truly valuable.
Because at the end of the day, that's all a career is. A long series of choices, some small, some massive. The real question you have to answer, starting right now, is a simple one. What will your career be built on? Pressure or principles? I really hope this has helped make that choice just a little bit clearer for you.